I want to preface this video by saying at a bird's eye view, we know that typical ranking factors that Google takes a look at is your content quality, the user experience of the person who visits your website, whether that's from a desktop or a mobile. And on the note of mobile, does your website have a mobile first approach? Those are really important factors that the algorithm takes into account to increase your SERPs. Second thing I want to mention is that the recent algorithm changes happening behind the scenes at Google is very likely going to fluctuate your website traffic. So I wouldn't necessarily trust your Google Analytics 4 or even your Google Search Console data, especially within the traffic department. I would look at your organic channel conversion uplifts instead. So look at incrementality. Ideally, you have conversion tracking set up for your website. But back to the focus of the video. Let's talk about where Google may be heading within search engine optimization in 2024 and beyond. I want to say that Google hasn't made any official statements on the topics that I'm going to be talking about or the points that I'm going to make. I'm just looking at the patterns that they've done within their algorithms and changes that they made within their algorithms between 2023 and Q2 of 2024. If you look at Google's patterns, it's very likely I can at least understand where they may be heading. So I'm essentially looking at pattern recognition to make these assumptions. So the first one is AI versus human-led content. So what I intrinsically know is that I prefer to read content or a blog, for example, if it's written by a human. If within the first two lines I know that it's somewhat AI driven or written by AI, I usually switch off. And I think that's also the case for you. We're now starting to see that a lot more people are actually searching for a question within Google search, but they'll add Reddit or Quora. And the reason why they do that is because they want an actual person's perspective on the matter. They don't want to just seek the answer. They want the answer from someone who's preferably experienced whatever that question is or whatever that conundrum that the user is searching for in the first place. The problem with AI-driven content is, one, apart from the fact that you can easily notice it's AI-driven, very much follows a pattern in the way that it writes or even the words that it uses. And so, again, as mentioned, if you're a reader, you think about user experience, if you're reading content that you might as well just ask ChatGPT for, what's the point of reading the blog, right? When ChatGPT can give you a very concise answer. So final point on AI versus human-led content. So we know that Google takes into account the quality of the content, right? And that can mean 100 different things, but generally speaking, it assesses the quality of the content, and assuming that it's of quality, it ranks your blog or your piece of content higher up within the SERPs or search engine results page. And if you come to think of it, humans, we tend to be better at assessing quality. And in fact, for the most part, we define what quality is. Now, we don't truly know what Google's algorithm dictates as quality. To be fair, Google doesn't really care if the content is written by AI or a human. Again, it's just taking into account if the content is of quality. Make sure at the very least you orchestrate the writing process of that blog and make sure there's a quality assurance process before it even gets published. Next thing is a mobile first approach. So according to SEMrush, 70% of website traffic comes from a mobile phone. Screenshot here for proof. The friction point here is that a lot of us who write content or focus on SEO, we tend to create, edit, preview, and publish blog pages specifically using a desktop, and we preview this within a desktop environment. So that's an issue, right? If we're trying to optimize for a mobile first experience, we very likely don't take that into account. So what I would do in this regard is ask yourself the question, when was the last time you did a full audit of your website using a mobile phone? If you haven't, I definitely urge you to do that. In fact, I should probably do the same. So you want to think about user experience. You want to make sure that the copy, the images load correctly, that it still feels somewhat native in terms of user experience. The call to actions work. There's no weird misalignment between different sections or different modules within that specific landing page. And at the very least, make sure that the copy is readable. So for Futures Marketers, we actually use WordPress as our kind of front end. I personally use a theme builder called Divi, which then helps me preview that specific landing page, whether it's on a desktop, a tablet, and more importantly, a mobile device. So it's a great way for me to quality assure before I even publish that specific landing page. Next is that you do have to be a thought leader, or at least a leader within your specific niche, within the specific business environment that you're in. So this one's quite controversial, but if you come to think of it, credibility is an important ranking factor that Google takes a look at. If you ask yourself the question, what makes a website credible? One of the aspects that a lot of SEO specialists don't talk about is the author, right? The authority behind the content. If we mind map what that looks like, you've got a thought leader or an author who knows what they're talking about. They'll very likely write good quality content because they're a thought leader within the space. They have an engaged following of some sort that can then potentially link back to website traffic to that specific post. All those different signals throughout that journey, whether that's engagement to that specific blog post or the amount of shares that specific blog post has, or even comments, those are all ranking factors that Google takes a look at, right, in terms of credibility. Do I think that Google takes a look at the author's social proof online or its online presence? I can guarantee that 100%. If not now, definitely very soon. So another pattern that I'm seeing, back to this AI versus human-led content point that I made earlier, is that when a blog doesn't have an author, it's kind of a big no-no from my side. Just from a user experience point of view, again, people are very interested to know who is the author behind that specific article. I can predict that at some point, every blog post will need to dictate if that specific blog is AI written or human written, or a mixture of both. On that point, I'm actually very interested to know, do you even read articles? If you do you prefer to read articles written by AI or written by a person? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Finally is short form versus long form content. So this one's going to be interesting. This pattern mostly works well for intent-driven searches within a local environment, especially for local businesses. So think about, the best mortgage provider near me, or the best bank around wherever you live. The thing is, we've been led to believe that we need to write at least 1,500 words to rank for SERPs. And that's the happy medium that we've been led to believe. But in some searches where a user just wants a really concise answer for that specific question, they don't want to read a 2,000 or 3,000 word blog on the topic, right? Remember, SEO isn't about stuffing a bunch of words or SEO driven keywords onto a landing page, right? It's about meeting the user's intent at the end of the day. Hence, looping back into the human-led content approach that I mentioned earlier, a lot more people are searching for questions and they're adding Reddit or Quora because they want to get a human being's perspective on the matter. And more importantly, they want it answered. They don't want a lot of faff usually, right? They don't want a lot of distractions or buffer words just to fill in that 1,500 keyword count. And just to close off that point and this whole video, there's a reason why Google struck a partnership with Reddit, more specifically utilizing Reddit's data for their AI models. So that's definitely something to think about. Thank you for watching the video. Till next time, peace. Futures Marketers is a platform dedicated to pioneering holistic growth for marketers. We provide forward-thinking education and innovative tools that empower professionals to excel and lead in their careers. Our mission is to foster leadership, create meaningful connections, and launch projects that will positively influence the future.